This is a peace-loving...
We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek. Coming up in the next hour. Suspected Israeli warplanes bomb Iran's embassy in Damascus, Syria. White House says President Joe Biden is aware of reports of Israeli airstrikes. Senior US and Israel officials hold a virtual meeting over Rafah. Israelis agreed to consider US concerns about Rafah offensive. Follow-up talks to be held next week. Japan lodges protest over suspected North Korea ballistic missile launch into the Sea of Japan. South Korean military says launch appears to be an intermediate range missile. United States and Britain announced a new partnership on the science of artificial intelligence safety. Partnership to address the risk of national security concerns and the concerns of broader society. News in detail now. Suspected Israeli warplanes bombed Iran's embassy in Syria on Monday in an escalation of Israel's war against Iran's regional proxies. Iran said the attack killed 7 of its military advisors, including 3 senior commanders. Iran's ambassador to Syria said the strike hit a consular building in the embassy compound and that his residence was on top 2 floors. While Iranian media reported that the building close to the embassy had been hit, however, an Israeli military spokesperson said, and I quote, "We do not comment on reports in the foreign media," unquote. Now, White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said that US President Joe Biden is aware of reports of Israeli airstrikes in Damascus. Take a listen.
So, look, I'm aware of the reports. Our team is looking into it, so I'm not going to get ahead of anything just yet. But obviously, we're aware of the reports, and our team is looking into it. I'm just not going to go beyond that.
The United States and Israel on Monday held what the White House calls a high-priority virtual meeting to discuss the alternatives to a military invasion of the Gazan city of Rafah. Israeli forces have for weeks been planning to push into the southern tip of besieged Strip, where more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are gathered, but the US is suggesting a delay. DD India's Benji Hire reports.
This was a hastily rearranged meeting, initially cancelled by the Israelis after the US abstained from a United Nations Security Council resolution which called for a ceasefire in Gaza. The Biden administration said an operation in Rafah would exacerbate the humanitarian disaster in the war-torn Palestinian territory, where famine, the UN warns, is imminent. The president's urging Israel to pause its plans to first stabilize the humanitarian situation and secure Egypt's side of the border with Gaza. Israel insists its offensive must continue south in order to eliminate the threat posed by the terror group Hamas. That's a position that puts the Israeli government on a collision course with its greatest Western ally here. Despite its fears over a Rafah incursion and the growing death toll in Gaza, the White House last week authorized the transfer of billions of dollars in bombs and fighter jets to Israel. A second meeting with the US, this time in person, is scheduled to take place as soon as next week. Benji Hire in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Further, a joint statement was issued after the virtual meeting, according to which Israeli officials agreed on Monday to take US concerns about a planned offensive in Rafah into account and deliberating on alternative ways to root out Hamas from southern Gaza. US officials concerned about a deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza have urged Israel to take a more targeted approach to attacking Hamas without launching a major ground offensive. The joint statement said the two sides had a constructive engagement on Rafah and agreed they shared the objective of seeing Hamas defeated there. Now, France on Monday proposed a draft United Nations Security Council resolution that seeks options for possible UN monitoring of a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and proposals to help the Palestinian Authority assume the responsibilities. The text would need at least 9 votes in favor and no vetoes by the 4 other permanent members, the United States, Britain, Russia and China. The draft resolution also called for an immediate ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and demands the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages still held in Gaza by Hamas and others.
This draft resolution deals with the most pressing matters. It calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza without a time limitation. It also demands the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. It condemns the terrorist attacks by Hamas that took place on October 7, and it demands an immediate and full humanitarian access. We are just starting. It's an ambitious project. It will take time. We need to consult everyone.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu revived moves on Monday to shutter Qatari satellite television station Al Jazeera in Israel while the conflict in Gaza continues. The Knesset approved the bill allowing the temporary closure in Israel of foreign broadcasters considered to be a threat to national security. The law approved on Monday allows Netanyahu and the Security Cabinet to shut the station for a period of 45 days. The ban is renewable and would stay in force until the end of July or until the end of major military operations in Gaza. Neither the station's main office in Israel nor the Qatari government in Doha have reacted so far. Now, Russia and Ukraine claim to have downed each other's drones over the Black Sea on Monday. Russia's defense ministry said its air defense units intercepted 6 Ukrainian drones attempting to carry out a terrorist attack. On its part, Ukraine said its forces downed a Russian 4-post drone, which it described as one of the most sophisticated and costly in Moscow's arsenal. Both sides are apparently devoting increasing attention to developing and using unmanned aircraft in the more than 2-year-old conflict. Meanwhile, amidst daily reports of Russia targeting Ukrainians' energy infrastructure, the head of Ukraine's national grid company has asserted that even though there is significant damage, but a total collapse is unlikely. The country's largest private energy company, DTEK, has said the attacks damaged 5 of its 6 power plants, which lost 80% of their capacity. Since March 22nd, the Russian forces have been attacking Ukrainian thermal and hydropower stations as well as main networks on an almost daily basis. The damage has led to blackouts in many regions. Most of Ukraine's electricity is generated by 3 nuclear power plants, but thermal and hydro generation are key to balancing the system during consumption peaks. Now, Moscow's court has put the 10th suspect in the March 22nd deadly concert hall attack into custody until May 22nd pending trial. The court said that Yusuf Zoda Yaqub Joni Davlat Khan, a native of Tajikistan, had been charged under Russia's terrorist act. Earlier on Sunday, Russia's State Security Service said foreign fighters detained in Russia's southern region of Dagestan were involved in financing of the attack. The FSB also said that one of the 4 detained men had confessed to personally bringing weapons to the Moscow attackers. At least 144 people were killed in the March 22nd attack. Islamic State has claimed responsibility, but Russia is investigating other angles. The French government has raised its terror alert warning to its highest level following the shootings on Moscow concert hall. The decision was taken in light of the Islamic State's claiming responsibility for the Moscow attack and the threats weighing on our country. Unquote. The alert allows for exceptional security measures such as stepped-up patrols by armed forces in public places like train stations, airports and religious sites. The development comes months before Paris hosts the Olympic Games. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken departed for Paris on Monday as part of a 5-day trip to France and Belgium. According to a State Department statement, Blinken will meet with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris to discuss global issues, including support for Ukraine, preventing the spread of conflict in Gaza, and stabilizing Haiti. In Brussels, the Secretary of State will attend the NATO Foreign Ministers meeting, which coincides with NATO's 75th anniversary on 4th April. The Secretary will also visit the Belgian city of Leuven, where he will participate in the 6th US-EU Trade and Technology Council. Now, several US states are holding presidential primaries Tuesday, with President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump expected to win across the board. Voters will head to the polls in the states of Wisconsin, Connecticut, New York and Rhode Island. But some residents are planning on using the vote as an opportunity to protest against the leading candidates. DD India's Sally Patterson reports from New York.
US President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are the favourites in their respective primaries. Neither candidate faces a strong challenge, and they've both already secured more delegates than they need to win their party's nominations. That process will happen at their conventions in July and August. That's when the Biden-Trump rematch becomes official. But that doesn't mean it's all smooth sailing. Voters can decide to register a protest vote against Biden or Trump if they're not happy with the options. In Connecticut and Rhode Island, residents will have the option of voting uncommitted. In Wisconsin, voters can choose uninstructed delegation on their ballot. Wisconsin is a pivotal battleground state in the US, and some voters there are organising over the war in Gaza. A group of activists are aiming to show they're unhappy with Biden's ongoing support for Israel by refusing to vote for him on the ballot. But analysts warn caution in putting too much significance on Gaza when it comes to the US electorate. According to Gallup Research Group, the number of voters who list it as the nation's most important problem is under 1%. The leading key issue for voters include the economy, immigration and crime. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
And the United States and Britain announced a new partnership on artificial intelligence safety on Monday. The agreement comes amid growing concerns about upcoming next-generation versions of AI. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and British Technology Secretary Michelle Donlan signed a memorandum of understanding in Washington to jointly develop advanced AI model testing. Britain and the United States are among countries establishing government-led AI safety measures. Still to come on DD India News Hour. South Korea's Yoon urges doctors to end impasse, says government is open to talks with the doctors. Temporary alternative route open for ships as efforts underway to remove debris of collapsed bridge in the US city of Baltimore. And 5 people found dead in Haitian capital after reports of heavy gunfire in the streets approaching the National Palace.
As the cycle of accountability returns, the time has come when the biggest democracy chooses to write another chapter in its glorious history. Development, justice, regionalism, a big political canvas. Everything will be put to test in this mega battle for glory. DD India dissects what makes elections 2024 the battle royale in Indian politics. Data and analysis free from bias to help you understand why India matters. The Great Indian Election on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. North Korea fired a ballistic missile off the east coast, in fact, in a move that sparked immediate condemnation from the Prime Minister of Japan. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that it detected the launch of what appeared to be a ballistic missile of an intermediate range class from the area of the North Korean capital, Pyongyang. Japan's Coast Guard said the apparent missile had already fallen into the sea. Amid concerns Russia and North Korea are developing closer military links, the United States and its major Asian allies, South Korea and Japan, are expanding security cooperation. The United States government is arranging a summit between President Joe Biden and his Japanese and South Korean counterparts in July on the sidelines of a NATO summit in Washington. This is the third test of ballistic missiles from Kim Jong-un's regime this year. On March 18, North Korea fired at least 6 short-range ballistic missiles as the leader oversaw a test of multiple rocket launcher systems. South Korea on Tuesday imposed sanctions on 2 Russian individuals and their companies linked to North Korea's nuclear and missile programs. The ministry said the country will also slap sanctions on 2 Russian vessels involved in shipping containers of military supplies between Moscow and Pyongyang. According to the ministry, companies were involved in illegally assisting North Korean workers' entry and stay in Russia. The sanctions will take effect on Wednesday. And Japan has lodged protest over suspected North Korea ballistic missile launch into the Sea of Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemned North Korea for the launch that he said affected the peace and stability of the region. He added there was no confirmed damage due to missile. Japan's top government spokesman added that the government had lodged a protest against with North Korea via diplomatic channels in Beijing.
This morning, North Korea launched a ballistic missile. I gave instruction to confirm the safety of public and to share information with public. At the moment, there is no confirmed damage. We strongly disapprove of this act because it has implication to not just the security of our nation, but of the region and the international community.
DD India correspondent Chris Gilbert has more from Tokyo.
There's a pretty stock standard response from Japan. Anytime that a missile is launched from North Korea in Japan's direction, there is an immediate emergency meeting of cabinet officials and the Prime Minister. They usually log a protest through the embassy in Beijing, which they have also done on this occasion, and strongly condemned the launch, which again they have done on this occasion. The quote from the Defense Minister Kihara is also a fairly typical statement for these occasions, saying that North Korea's series of actions, including its repeated launches of ballistic missiles, threaten the peace and stability of Japan and the region, and violate UN Security Council resolutions. Of course, you mentioned sanctions. The UN Security Council has been unable to put more sanctions on North Korea due to China and Russia vetoing them at the Security Council level for the last couple of years. They are saying that they are doing so because the United States and its allies, such as Japan, have not held up their end of the bargain to balance sanctions with humanitarian assistance for the people of North Korea. But another month, another missile launch, and another condemnation from Tokyo.
Now, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol said the government is open to talks with doctors who oppose his plan to increase medical school admissions. Yoon signaled his willingness for the first time to seek a compromise on his medical reform proposals after the government called for dialogue with striking doctors. Take a listen.
If doctors come up with a more proper and reasonable solution, we can discuss it as much as they want. Government policy is always open. If they present better opinions and rational grounds, government policy can change for the better.
And And more than 90% of the country's 13,000 training doctors have been staging walkouts since February 20th. In protest against the government's plan to boost medical school admissions by 2,000 starting in 2025 from 3,000 now. The government says the plan is vital to remedy a shortage of doctors in one of the world's fastest aging societies. But critics have said the authority should focus on improving the working conditions of trainee doctors first. The U.S. authorities working on the Baltimore bridge collapse have opened the first of two small temporary channels to let ships access the site of the incident. These channels will initially only be open to vessels involved in the Francis Scott Key Bridge cleanup operation and will not be big enough to allow cargo and container ships to pass through. This effort marks the first step in reopening the port of Baltimore following the collapse of the bridge early that killed 6 road workers. The Biden administration released $60 million in initial emergency aid on Thursday to assist in cleaning up the bridge debris and reopening the port. And in the Haitian capital Port-au-Prince, 5 people were found dead on Monday after reports of heavy gunfire in the streets approaching the National Palace. Gunmen seized an armored vehicle from palace guards in the center of the city. A large industrial park had been set on fire 3 days before. The new U.S. ambassador to Haiti, Dennis Hankins, arrived in the country on Monday as the United States and other nations continue evacuating their citizens and bolstering their borders against migrants. Haiti has been facing a worsening conflict with alliances of gangs vying for control of parts of the capital and attacks on the airport and main port blocking access to key goods. Mexico evacuated 34 nationals who wanted to leave Haiti as gang violence spread in the country. The helicopter moved the evacuees, which included 7 miners, to a ship from the Navy that brought the nationals back to Mexico. The Mexican government said in a statement the special operation was deployed because Haiti's Toussaint Louverture International Airport has been illegally controlled by armed groups. Foreign departures from Haiti have picked up recently as the country's political future hangs in limbo, with armed gangs expanding their control over the capital and further afield. In Pakistan, polling for the Senate began a short while ago to fill a total of 30 seats out of 48. Election Commission of Pakistan has already notified 18 candidates as elected unopposed in Balochistan and Punjab. Polling is being held for the rest of the 30 seats today. The opposition Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf hopes to maintain its status as the largest party in the Senate, while parties in the ruling coalition, namely the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz and Pakistan People's Party, seek majority too. The Senate has remained dysfunctional since March 11 following the retirement of 52 lawmakers. And a Pakistani court on Monday granted former Prime Minister Imran Khan an appeal of his graft conviction and suspended his 14-year jail sentence. Just a week before the February 8 elections, Imran Khan and his wife were handed a 14-year sentence on charges of unlawfully selling state gifts. Despite the suspension, Khan will remain in jail on multiple other sentences which were imposed on him ahead of the polls, which also disqualified him from holding any public office for 10 years. Peru's president replaced 6 ministers on Monday after they abruptly resigned amid a fresh political controversy. President Dina Boluarte replaced roughly a third of a 19-person cabinet in a single day. This comes amid scandal involving high-end Rolex watches that targets her and alleges illicit enrichment by Boluarte. The resignation aims to win a vote of support from Congress. Some weather updates now. Torrential rains battered the Italian town of Edolo on Monday, triggering floods and landslides. At least 15 people were evacuated from the area. Firefighters and civil protection teams carried out assessment with local geologists to rule out risk. Five people were killed in southern Poland due to strong winds on Monday. Trees fell as wind reached a speed of 155 kilometers an hour. Firefighters intervened 140 times to remove trees blocking roads and help owners of houses with destroyed roofs. In a case of extreme weather, the winds followed days of unusually high temperatures in the region. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. 3 flights carrying 368 deported migrants arrived in Guatemalan city from the US on Monday. The migrants were picked up at the US-Mexico border trying to reach the United States. According to official data from Guatemala, the US has sent more than 19,000 immigrants back in 2024. In a festive crossover, a giant Easter bunny took the mic and greeted journalists during the White House press briefing on Monday. As part of an April Fool's joke, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stood alongside the bunny, saying the White House would revoke the Hatch Act, which prohibits federal employees from using their official capacity to interfere with elections. One of the largest jackpots in the history of the US, the multi-state Powerball, is now up for grabs. This year's estimated jackpot prize is $975 million, the fifth largest in the history of the game. If there is a single winner on Monday, the ticket holder can choose to accept it in a single lump sum amount, with the prize carrying a cash value of about $471.7 million. Alright, still to come on DD India News Hour. Campaigning for India's parliamentary election heats up. Prime Minister Modi to address 2 public meetings today. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will address the Army Commanders Conference in New Delhi. 19 traditional products of Assam, 2 of Tripura get the GI tag.
As the cycle of accountability returns, the time has come when the biggest democracy chooses to write another chapter in its glorious history. Development, justice, regionalism, a big political canvas. Everything will be put to test in this mega battle for glory. DD India dissects what makes elections 2024 the battle royale in Indian politics. Data and analysis free from bias to help you understand why India matters. The Great Indian Election on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. Suspected Israeli warplanes bomb Iran's embassy in Damascus, Syria. White House says President Joe Biden is aware of reports of Israeli airstrikes. Senior US and Israel officials hold a virtual meet over Rafah. Israelis agree to consider US concerns about Rafah offensive. Follow-up talks to be held next week. Japan lodges protest over suspected North Korea ballistic missile launch into the Sea of Japan. South Korean military says launch appears to be an intermediate range missile. Election campaign heats up for India's upcoming parliamentary elections. Prime Minister Modi to address rallies in Indian states of Uttarakhand and Rajasthan. Let's now get you the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India. Campaigning for India's parliamentary elections heats up. Leaders of all political parties have begun their campaign. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address public meetings in Uttarakhand and Rajasthan on Tuesday. PM Modi will speak at public gatherings in Uttarakhand's Rudrapur and Kotputli in Rajasthan. And India's Home Minister and BJP senior leader Amit Shah will launch a Grand Star campaign of the party in Karnataka on Tuesday. He will address a public rally at Bengaluru Palace Ground and later a roadshow at Chennapatna. This has seen a big reach out by Amit Shah to make inroads in Old Mysore region. The BJP has entered into an alliance with JDS and hopes to cash on the Vokaliga community dominated Mysore regions where the JDS had its dominance a few years ago. Also, the Congress on Monday released a list of candidates for Maharashtra and Telangana for upcoming parliament elections. Congress has fielded Abhay Kashinath Patil from Akola, Maharashtra, and Kadiyam Kavya is set to contest from Warangal, Telangana. And Congress will release its manifesto for the upcoming parliamentary polls on April 5th. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, along with other Congress leaders, including Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, will unveil the manifesto in the mega rally scheduled on April 6th in Jaipur and Hyderabad. And Samajwadi Party's candidate from the Gautam Budh Nagar constituency, Mahendra Singh Nagar, on Monday filed his nomination papers. He asserted that along with the support of the India Alliance, his party will defeat BJP in the upcoming parliamentary elections. Take a listen.
थोड़ी बहुत को टक्कर है तो भाजपा है, लेकिन भाजपा को जैसा हम घूम रहे हैं तो हमें बड़ा जन समर्थन मिल रहा है। हम आने वाले 4 तारीख को जो रिजल्ट आएंगे आपको पता चलेगा कि सपा और पीडीए गठबंधन, इंडिया गठबंधन का जो कैंडिडेट है उससे काफी मार्जिन से जीत।
All right, DD India correspondent Dibyendu Mandal is joining us live from New Delhi to talk more on this. Good morning, Dibyendu. PM Modi's rallies in Rajasthan and Uttarakhand on Tuesday, and 2 states where the BJP swept in 2014 and 19 too, and also Amit Shah in Karnataka today.
Well, good morning, Abhishek. That's right. The BJP is all set to campaign both in Rajasthan and Karnataka today. Apart from the fact that the BJP is, of course, campaigning in other parts of the country as well. But the 2 tall leaders of the BJP, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah, will be in 2 different states. While the Prime Minister will be campaigning in Uttarakhand and Rajasthan, Amit Shah is visiting the southern state of Karnataka. All the 3 states are very, very crucial for the BJP because, the BJP had swept both Rajasthan as well as Uttarakhand in both 2014 and 19, and the BJP is expecting to repeat the same number this time as well, keeping in mind that the BJP had set itself a target of 370 seats on its own. The BJP had done phenomenally well in Karnataka, but however, the last assembly election, the BJP lost to the Congress. So, of course, the BJP has to gain its seats in Karnataka, given the fact that the Congress is in power in the state, which is the reason Union Home Minister Amit Shah will be touring the state throughout the day today. And, in Karnataka, the Amit Shah will be holding meetings with its party leaders. He has already had a breakfast meeting with its party leaders where he's trying to understand the fact that the organizational strength of the party in Karnataka. Remember, the BJP is in alliance with the JDS this time around to contest the elections in Karnataka. But in Rajasthan and Uttarakhand, both of these two segments of the parliamentary constituencies are going to polls in the first phase, which is on April 19th. So of course these rallies are very crucial, and the Prime Minister will be touring other states as well in the coming days, as we are just about 17 days away from the first phase of election, which is on the April 19th. So of course we'll see more of the senior leaders of both the BJP and the Congress touring more states, going to more different states to campaign for the party. The BJP is of course set itself a target of 370 seats, and the BJP is expecting that it will win all these 370 seats, and the BJP's significant focus in southern India this time around is crucial to increase the tally of the BJP from 303, which they won last time, to about 370 this time around. So of course the BJP's important focus in the southern state. We have also seen the Prime Minister was there in southern part of India once the election was declared. So of course these important factors will be kept in mind when the BJP campaigns both in southern as well as in northern part of India. Yes, back to you, Abhishek.
Debendu, talking about Congress now, they released a list of candidates for Maharashtra and Telangana on Monday, and also, like we said in the report, they'll release its manifesto for the Lok Sabha elections on April 5th.
Well, that's right, Abhishek. The Congress is holding its election manifesto committee meetings, and the Congress is expected to release its election manifesto on the 5th of April. There could be many important aspects that the Congress could list out in its election manifesto. Some of these important aspects would be the Congress could address the important issues of Article 370. It could also talk about unemployment. It could also talk about how jobs could be provided to the people if they are voted back to power. We are also hearing that the Congress could also mention about the Citizenship Amendment Act in its election manifesto, which was recently notified by the government, which aims to provide citizenship to the persecuted minorities from the neighboring state of Pakistan, Bangladesh, as well as Afghanistan. So these are some of the key aspects that the Congress election manifesto could see. Of course, there would also be other important announcements perhaps from the Congress's side in the election manifesto. But of course, the full details will only be out when the election manifesto is released by the Congress's senior leadership, which includes Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra from the Gandhi family, as well as the Congress National President Mallikarjuna Kharge. So of course, some key developments will take place in the coming days, given the fact that we are just just 2 weeks away from the first phase of election, and the country is already in an election mode with all political parties, including the regional political parties, are in full campaign mode in their respective states. Yes, back to you.
All right, Debendu, we'll leave it here. Appreciate your time. As the date nears for upcoming parliamentary elections in India, different programs are being held to increase voters' participation in election. On Monday, a bike rally and street play was organized by Raipur District Collector in Indian state of Chhattisgarh to create awareness regarding voting ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections. Through bike rally, voters were appealed to vote parliamentary elections, which will begin on April 19 and will be held in 7 phases. The rally aimed at educating citizens, electors and voters about the electoral process in order to increase their awareness and promote their informed participation. The participants also took an oath to vote in the elections. The incredible Indian election journey is just getting started. In 7 phases from April 19 to June 1st, close to 1 billion voters will be addressed and voted by parties and the candidates. 1 in 5 voters is under the age of 30. Women voters outnumber men voters in 12 states. Not just facts, but signpost of change. In a country so large and diverse, there are just too many moving parts and political conflicts. Each vote will be counted and will count.
2024 is not just an election year. It's perhaps the election year for the globe. The Indian summer is going to make the political parties, candidates and supporters sweat to gain the people's attention as India decides in 2024. The carnival of the world's largest democracy is set to reach its peak in the next few weeks across all pockets of India as the country goes for the general elections. It's a carnival in every sense of the word, in terms of spectacle of colors, hurly-burly, noise and exuberance. The festival is observed by all Indian adults who are 18 years and above. The organizer of the major elections across the country is the Election Commission of India, or the ECI. The Election Commission is an autonomous body set up under the provisions of the Indian Constitution. It's responsible for administering the national and state election processes in India. So let us take a look at how grand is the 2024 general elections of India. Roughly 12.5% of the global population, 968 million eligible voters, 18 million first-time voters, 197.4 million young voters, 20 to 29 years of age, 497 million male and 471 million female voters, 218,000 centenarian voters, over 1 million polling stations, 15 million polling officials and security staff, 5.5 million electronic voting machines. The elections will span over a period of 3 months starting in April and ending in June, scattered over 7 phases for the 543 parliamentary constituencies. The election pits two-term Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his regional allies against a scattered alliance of about 24 opposition parties. The Festival of Democracy has not just enthused political leaders, but also the common electorate, with the flavors of elections spilling over to the lives of the common Indians. The scale and grandeur of this election can be comprehended from the fact that the number of voters in the upcoming elections will be more than the populations of the US, European Union and Russia combined. The successful conduct and completion of the election is likely to become a textbook example for many younger democracies of the global south.
Moving on, India slammed China for renaming places in Arunachal Pradesh. External Affairs Ministry in a statement said, and I quote, China has persisted with its senseless attempts to rename places in the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. We firmly reject such attempts. Assigning invented names will not alter the reality that Arunachal Pradesh is, has been and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. The Army Commanders Conference is currently underway in New Delhi. The apex leadership of the Army is deliberating upon the emerging threat scenario, operational challenges, reforms and plans for modernization. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will be addressing the conference on Tuesday. One of the key items on the agenda are cybersecurity, integration with other services and futuristic warfare technologies. Welfare of ex-servicemen, administrative and reforms also figure. The Army Commanders Conference, the first for the year 2024, was held in virtual mode on March 28th, and thereafter the 2-day physical mode begins on Monday. In a significant boost to its defence capabilities, Guyana recently received 2 Dornier 228 planes from India's Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Informing about the same, Guyanese President Dr. Irfan Ali said, and I quote, the planes arrived at Cheddi Jagan International Airport last evening aboard 2 Boeing C-17 Globemaster military transport planes. Indian Air Force team in Guyana delivered the aircraft as part of India's line of credit agreement signed on March 15th. The Dornier 228 aircraft is well known for its versatility and reliability, making it an ideal choice for a wide range of military and civilian applications. Now, India-Nepal Folk Craft Festival was organized in Kathmandu Valley with exhibits from various parts of India and Nepal showcasing the vibrant culture of both the countries. On the last day of the festival, visitors relished local Newari cuisine and Banarsi pan from India. The stalls were held by traders from India selling their handicraft items. Nepali jewelry, corn leaf home decor, food items, Nepalese traditional clothes and hemp accessories were on sale from traders of Nepal. Banarsi brocade saris from Varanasi, leather sandals and shoes from Udaipur, traditional caps and waistcoats from Himachal Pradesh, Lugda craft from Rajasthan, embroidered beddings from Gujarat and stone sculpture from Odisha showed the diverse culture of India. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. 19 traditional products and crafts of Assam, including Bihu Dhol, Japi and several items of Bodo tribe have been accorded the geographical indication or GI tag. Assam's Chief Minister took to X and termed it as a big win for the state's heritage. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Google agrees to destroy billions of data records to settle a consumer privacy lawsuit. And in chess, Arjun Erigasi replaces Vishwanathan Anand as top-ranked Indian in official FIDE rating. We'll tell you more after the break. A cultural extravaganza in Turkmenistan mesmerizes audience in Ashgabat as charitable foundation celebrates its 3rd anniversary.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Business stories now. US stocks mostly dipped on Monday with traders weighing fresh US inflation data amid fears the market rally could slow down. The S&P 500 lost 0.21% while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.09%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 0.64%. Investors remain cautious about the pace of the Federal Reserve's rate cutting timeline this year and how soon central bankers will be able to meet their 2% inflation target. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said Friday that economic growth remains strong and inflation is still above the target. Google agreed to destroy billions of data records to settle a lawsuit claiming it secretly tracked the internet use of people who thought they were browsing privately. Terms of the settlement were filed on Monday in the Oakland, California federal court and require approval by the U.S. District Judge Juan Gonzalez Rogers. Lawyers for the plaintiffs valued the accord at more than $5 billion and as high as $7.8 billion. The investment banking company Citigroup is laying off hundreds of its employees at its New York and Florida-based units. Citigroup said it would be laying off 430 employees across multiple departments in New York due to economic reasons. The bank disclosed in filings with the State Department of Labor on Monday that the layoffs are expected to take place on June 29th. The layoffs will impact 363 employees of the lender's primary banking unit, Citibank. Workers in the technology and broker-dealer arm will also be affected. Citi has also set a goal to trim its global workforce by 20,000 over the next 2 years. The bank last week ended a sweeping overhaul its biggest in decades, as part of an effort to simplify its structure and improve the performance. Now, the World Bank approved a loan of $750 million to Colombia to battle climate change. The loan aims to boost development and renewable energy efforts, as well as bolster electric urban transport and multimodal transport. The loan is the bank's second to the South American country focused on climate change, after a loan of $1 billion in 2022. Sports now. Will start with chess. Arjun Erigasti replaced five-time world champion Vishwanathan Anand as the highest-ranked Indian in the official FIDE rating list on Monday. Arjun is currently placed 7th in the world rankings with a live rating of 2758.3. The 20-year-old leapfrogged Anand in the live rating list in March. Arjun became only second Indian after D. Gukesh to surpass Anand as the Indian #1 on a published FIDE rating list. He is also the fourth Indian after Anand, Pantala Harikrishna and Gukesh to enter the top 10 in world rankings. Cricket now. In IPL, Rajasthan Royals on Monday secured their third consecutive victory by defeating Mumbai Indians by 6 wickets. Mumbai Indians, who played their first home game at Wankhede, have had a terrible start this season, as this was their third consecutive defeat. Opting to bowl first, RR restricted MI to 125 and chased down the target comfortably with 27 balls to spare. Riyan Parag scored a half-century for the second consecutive time this season with an unbeaten 54 of 39 balls on Monday that anchored RR's successful run chase. Talking about today's game, Royal Challengers Bengaluru will take on Lucknow Super Giants at the Grand Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru on Tuesday. RCB is set to play their fourth game of IPL 2024 season. After losing the opening game against defending champions Chennai, RCB bounced back with a win in their second game against Punjab Kings, and they won the game by 4 wickets. RCB, however, handed an absolute demoralizing defeat by Kolkata Knight Riders in the third game. Lucknow Super Giants, on the other hand, kicked off their campaign with a loss as they fell short of Rajasthan Royals' total by 20 runs. They put in a spirited performance against PBKS in their first home game to register a 21-run victory. Now, India's leading manufacturer and distributor of high-performance competitive sports flooring, Gravelite, has diversified into making mats for India's traditional sports. With a track record of supplying mats for prestigious events including Pro Kabaddi, Commonwealth Games, Asian Games, National Games, Khelo India and various other sports tournaments, Gravelite is now setting its sights on the Olympic Games, further contributing to India's Make in India narrative. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya interviewed Paras Maheshwari, director of Gravelite, to delve deeper into their journey and aspirations.
An Indian company making it not just for India but globally, these sporting mats.
The biggest challenge we were facing in our sporting community was that no Indian manufacturer was actually developing mats for games which are homogeneously grown and brought up in India. So for that matter Kabaddi, for that matter wrestling and now the Kho-Kho, we got down with the coaches, we got down with the Sports Authority of India and we got down with the players. Then we actually decided to manufacture mats which will be specifically tailor-made to the specific needs of these particular games.
You guys also made the mats for the World Championship, Wrestling World Championship in Dubai, isn't it?
Yes, we delivered the mats for the World Wrestling Championship organized by the Wrestling Federation of India.
How about the Olympics? Could we see an Indian company manufacturing mats in Olympics very soon?
We have been rigorously working very hard, which will match the standards of UWW, which is a global body governing the wrestling. So we are trying to acquire their certificates and everything so that we can actually fulfill this dream to of an Indian manufacturer supplying to the Olympic Games.
How cheaper this particular mat will cost if we compare it with the international market?
The cost involved in actually importing the mat and the actual premium we are paying to the big players of the market. The same specification of the mat, if we fulfill all the same criteria, then we'll be most probably able to save almost 50 to 55% of the cost. This will actually help the federation and both the government to actually save that hard-earned money of the taxpayers and actually provide a good, better and best infrastructure to the players.
So that was Paras Maheshwari, the director of Gravolite, saying that it won't be that long before an Indian player will make its mark in the Olympic arena as well with these world-class mats. With camera person, this is Tapush Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Turkmenistan recently celebrated the 3rd anniversary of the Gurbanguly Birdi Mukhamedov Charitable Foundation in Ashgabat. The event was attended by various groups including peoples from Ashgabat, Dovletlia Palace and participants in a mathematics Olympiad. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.